Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Constructive Liberty podcast, intentionally designing a lifestyle of freedom. Also bringing you strategies, tech tools, and mindset to help you create a life and career you love. Love that. That is everything we're all about here. Before we get into the main topic of today's show, which is prioritizing your time and your tasks. You know, it's all about prioritization. That's a difficult word to say this morning for some reason. I want to ask for some feedback from you guys. I've added a lot of interviews recently. I do a live stream every Monday night, usually with a guest, and that podcast comes out the following Monday in audio format. And then I've done quite a few other interviews recently as well, and those always come out on Friday. So I've got 3 episodes a week coming out. And, you know, not everybody has the time or the capacity, the space to listen to that many episodes, especially with the hundreds of thousands of other podcasts that are out there. And most of my solo episodes run from 15 to 30 minutes, whereas the live stream and the interviews often run 45 minutes to an hour. And I'd love to have your feedback on that. Do you like the time that those run? Like, is that length good for you guys? Do you enjoy listening to that? Or is it more of a chore to get through that length of an episode? Because what I could do is break those down into 2 episodes each and run 5 episodes a week. That would be, I don't know. I'm not sure if I want to do that. That would boost my download numbers if all of you still listen. But what's the point if you're going to listen to a whole hour? Do you like a 30-minute episode better, or keep it the way it is, running the interviews at an hour and keeping the solo episodes 15 to 30 minutes? I'd love to hear some feedback from you on that. Send me an email to ken@constructiveliberty.com or jump into the Telegram chat, t.me/Constructive Liberty, I believe it is. I'll drop a link down in the show notes. Or if you know me personally, send me a text or give me a call. I love hearing from people. So I want your feedback on that. I'd appreciate it if you do that. My quote of the day today comes from John C. Maxwell, author, leadership coach extraordinaire. He's got a lot of great stuff out there, but he says this: success is knowing your purpose in life, growing to reach your maximum potential, and sowing seeds that benefit others. I'll read that one more time. Success is knowing your purpose in life, growing to reach your maximum potential, and sowing seeds that benefit others. And that goes right into the 5 keys of an impactful life that I talk about so much. That being purpose, mindset, relationships, health, and wealth. Knowing your purpose, growing to reach your maximum potential, and sowing seeds that benefit others. That's exactly what I talk about on each and every episode and with each and every guest, is working towards those things. The people that create lives, or that build their life in such a way that impacts other people on a massive scale, have those things down pat. And so I've built my coaching programs around that. I've built my membership for men around that. Even my smaller membership, Level Up, which is more of a book club, that is focused on those 5 keys. The things that we work towards are focus. Our purpose, mindset, relationships, health, and wealth. We study books that help us to build on those. And the bigger coaching program and Next Level for Men, which is the bigger mastermind, those dive deep into those areas. So that quote just goes right along with it. I love that. When I saw that, I had to go with it. But let's jump right into the main topic of today's show: prioritization of time, task, money, all of those things. We're talking more about time and how to get the things done that you want to get done in your life. So let's jump right into it. What's the difference between somebody who seemingly gets the work done of what should be 10 people and the person who can't get done enough for half a person. Like the amount of work that they do, one person should easily be able to do that. What's the difference between those two people? I believe it's how they prioritize their time. We've all heard the saying, we all have 24 hours in a day. And while, maybe a bit cliche, but it's true. And I mean, you can't make more time than what exists. The only thing that we can do is to use it more effectively. I just told somebody yesterday in a coaching program that I'm in how one of my biggest struggles is proper prioritization of the time that I have. I do a lot of busy work. I sit down at my computer and I have 50 tabs open. Tabs that I keep open all the time because I need them. I use them nearly every time I go to my computer. There are things that I need to get into. But when I sit down to do a task, like record this podcast, I get sidetracked by tabs that are open, or by need to check my email, or I need to go do that thing, or I need to send a note, or I haven't properly prioritized the time. And we're going to talk about this in a little bit about Parkinson's law, but we'll jump into that in a little bit later. First thing we have to do is figure out what's important. What is it that's worth prioritizing? We got to figure out what those things are and really check in on whether they reflect our core values, on whether they align with our purpose in life. So if we're laser focused on our career, then those things, the tasks that relate to the career, seem to be what rises to the top of the list of importance. If you're family first, then your family events are at the top of the list. If you're working on building a profitable farm, or a coaching business, or a mini barn business, or whatever that thing is that you're focused on, those tasks become what's important, and you can prioritize those higher. The second thing to do is to make a list. So figure out everything that you need to do or that you want to accomplish. So if you're in construction, it might be you lay out the construction tasks for each day of the week, and you add your family stuff in there, and you add your this and you add your that. Short term, long term, add both of them in there. Whatever those things are, put them on the list, the things that you have to do. And then you can rank them by urgency. I really like to use, when you make a list of tasks, ranking them with the Eisenhower matrix, which has the important and the urgent important, and the not important, not urgent. I forget how it is. You got two columns of urgent, not urgent. You've got two rows of important and not important. And you put each task into its specific box. And the important and urgent tasks need to be done now. The important but not urgent tasks need to be scheduled. The urgent but not important tasks need to be eliminated. And the urgent, or the not urgent and not important tasks, no, those need to be eliminated. The urgent and not important tasks need to be delegated. Something like that. Look it up. You'll get a better understanding of it. I think I've done an episode on that pretty early on in the podcast list. I'm not sure what number it is, but I'll look it up and try to drop that in the show notes. I need to make a note of that here. Okay, I just went on a little rabbit trail for about 5 minutes trying to find that episode, and apparently I did not do that on the Constructive Liberty podcast. It must have been another podcast, maybe on the Team Catalyst podcast, one of my earlier episodes. I'm not sure. I don't do that podcast anymore, so I didn't dive into that one. But look up the Eisenhower matrix. It will help you to rank your priorities. After you've taken all the things that you need to do and ranked them, you're going to have some big ones. You're going to have some small ones. Now you need to chunk them down. Break them into smaller pieces. When you have a really large task, it can look overwhelming to sit down and do it, or to go out and do the thing. You're not going to set out to build a whole house. You're going to go lay out the foundation. Then you're going to go dig the footers. Then you're going to pour the footers. Then you're going to lay the block. Then you're going to backfill it. Then you're going to build the floor. Then you're going to build the walls. Then you're going to put the OSB on the walls and put the house wrap on it. Then you're going to build the roof and dry it in. Then you're going to install the windows and the doors and the siding. Then you're going to work on the inside of the house. You're going to do the electrical and the plumbing and the insulation and the sheetrock and the trim, and then you're going to paint, and then you're going to finish off the electrical and the plumbing, and you're going to have the cabinets installed and the flooring installed, and you're going to paint again. Each one of those things is a little part of building the house as a whole. Each one of those things can be broken down even further, piece by piece, step by step, that needs to be done. So you break all of your tasks down into one-step chunks. What is one step that I can do to move me towards accomplishing that overall larger task? The next thing you can do is to delegate some of those things. If you're not going to tell somebody, hey, go build my house, but you might tell somebody, hey, go lay out the foundation. It needs to be this size and it's sitting in this area. Lay it out, make sure it's square. You can delegate those things. And if you've used the Eisenhower matrix, the things that are urgent but not important, you can delegate those things. Or the things that are important but not urgent, rather, you can delegate those too. Like some of those things you don't have to do. If they are urgent, then you need to do them. But if they're not important, then it's like, no, I'll get to you when I have time, because just because it's urgent doesn't mean that I need to do it, because it's not important. It's important to somebody else. I don't have to take responsibility for that. Anyway, delegate what you can. And then you need to set deadlines for each task, for each step of the way. I like to schedule everything. When I know that I'm going to do something, make a phone call, send an email, go out on the job, do this, start a that, send this, whatever those things are, I put them in my schedule. I put them in my calendar. When I don't, Parkinson's law comes back to bite me in the butt. Parkinson's law basically states that a thing or a resource expands to fill the amount of resources given it. Or a task, how is the best way to put that? A task expands to utilize the complete amount of resources given to it. So if you have a budget for your house that is, say $150,000, you're going to spend $150,000 or more on your house. But if you set your budget at $100,000, you're going to get it done for $100,000 or maybe a little bit more. If you have your budget set at $75,000, you'll get it done for $75,000. Parkinson's law states that, when put in task and time, a task expands to the time given it. And if you don't give it a time, it either doesn't ever get done, or it takes all the time that you have because you just don't sit down and get it done. If I don't schedule a time to record my podcast episode, it takes me until noon or 2 o'clock to get it released. But if I set that schedule, like I'm recording from 6:30 to 7 and I am releasing it right after that, then I get it done. Maybe not right in that time frame, but a lot closer than if I don't schedule it at all. The next thing you can do is to look for opportunities for growth. So when we focus on tasks that grant us growth opportunities, it's interesting what happens. We continue to broaden our horizons and our skill set. And when you're focused on those things, when you have your list of tasks, all being equal, focus on the one that allows you to learn something new or builds up a current skill that you already have, levels that up. Do that thing and delegate the others or put them on the back burner. Another thing is to start with the most important tasks. We talked about the important, not important, urgent, not urgent list. You need to do the important things first, especially if they're urgent and important. It's like there's a book, I think Brian Tracy wrote it, if I'm not mistaken, called Eat the Frog. The idea is to do the important and the hard thing right away. Like, do that first. That's your hated task. It's the thing that, like, it's so difficult. I don't want to do this. I need to get it done. After you get that done, everything else is easier. But on the contrary, sometimes we just don't have the energy or the brain space to do that. We're feeling unmotivated. And I talked recently about motivation, how motivation is BS. You build up your motivation by being disciplined and going and doing the task, going and doing the work. That is how you become motivated. But anyway, kind of rabbit trailed there. When you don't have the time or the energy and all of that, sometimes you just have to go do a little thing, a one-step deal. Just go do something that is easy to accomplish and builds up that motivation inside you. Just simple little tips like that. So 3 action steps that you can take right now or at the beginning of a week is really, I do this at the beginning of every week, but you can do this right now if you haven't done this. So number 1, make a list of all the tasks that you need to accomplish this week. So look forward, like, what am I doing this week? How can I write those down into each individual one-step task? And then arrange that by importance, like what needs to be done, when, what's the most important thing that needs to be done overall. And then once you've got that arranged, you put a deadline on it. You put a time limit. You set a time, like, this is the time I'm going to give that task. And that's the only time it shall take. Within that time, it shall be done. And then do it. You got to take those steps. You're not going to move forward in life unless you start putting one foot in front of the other. And this is a great way to do that. Delegating the things, prioritizing your tasks, giving everything a time spot, and just doing the work. I hope that's been helpful. I will, again, want your feedback on how the episodes are going for you. Do you like the interview shows? Should I create a whole separate podcast feed for that? I've considered that, but I'm like, no, I don't want to build up another podcast feed. I've already got Constructive Liberty and Finding the Next Level, which if you have not checked out Finding the Next Level yet, please go do that. But I'd love to get your feedback. That's your action step for this episode. Send me an email, ken@constructiveliberty.com, and let me know what your thoughts are on the longer interview shows. And if you still like the solo shows as well, the length of those. They usually run 20 to 30 minutes. I think that's a good time. That's all I've got for today. Do good work.